The sky was broken. Dark smoke rose from the ground and covered the stars above. The battlefield was silent now, but the silence was heavy. Broken ships, metal parts, and burned weapons lay scattered everywhere. The air smelled of fire and dust. A human soldier walked slowly across the ruins. His uniform was torn and his arm was bleeding, but he kept moving. His name was Captain Ryan. He had survived the battle, but most of his squad was gone. Ryan's boots crunched on the black soil. He looked around carefully, searching for survivors. Maybe one of his soldiers was still alive. Maybe there was a signal, a voice, anything. But the only sound was the wind moving the ash. He raised his rifle and listened. A sharp sound came from the wreck of a fallen ship. A metal door was moving. Something. Or someone was inside. He stepped closer, ready for a fight. The enemy aliens might still be hiding. His heart beat faster. He gripped his rifle tighter. Then it happened. From the shadows of the broken door, a small figure stepped out. It was a child. The figure was small, no more than 8 years old. Her skin glowed faintly pale blue under the broken moonlight. Her hair was black, tangled with ash and dust. Her eyes were strange. They were not alien. They were human. Ryan froze. He had seen many enemies in this war, but never a child like this. She looked at him with wide, trembling eyes. Then slowly she walked closer. "Stay back," Ryan said in a low voice, raising his rifle. But the child didn't stop. Instead, she reached out a tiny hand. Her fingers shook. Her lips moved, and in broken English she whispered, "Don't shoot." "Dad," Ryan blinked. His chest tightened. He thought he had heard wrong. "What did you say?" he asked. The child took another shaky step. Her clothes were torn, her face dirty. She tugged at his sleeve, her small hand gripping his shirt. Tears filled her strange human eyes. "Can I call you Dad?" she asked in a trembling voice. Ryan felt his heart stop. This was no ordinary child. She was alien, but also human. How did she know him? How could she speak his language? Why would she call him that? He should have pulled away. He should have pushed her back. But he couldn't. Something inside him refused. For a long moment, Ryan said nothing. He only stared at her. Her voice, her eyes, the way she held onto his shirt, it was too real. Too human. Finally, he lowered his weapon. His hands shook as he placed it on the ground. The girl looked at him with fear, waiting for his answer. Ryan swallowed hard. He knew this was dangerous. If the squad found her, they would think she was the enemy. If the aliens were looking for her, they would kill them both. But at that moment, nothing else mattered. He placed a hand gently on her shoulder. His voice cracked as he spoke. "Yes, you can." The girl let out a weak sob and buried her face against his chest. Her small body shook as she cried. Ryan stood frozen, holding her awkwardly. He had never expected this. In the middle of a dead battlefield, he had found something alive. Something impossible. He looked around quickly, scanning the shadows. If anyone saw this, if the enemy was near, they would both be in danger. "Quiet," he whispered. "Stay close to me." But the girl only clung tighter. Ryan's mind raced. Who was she? Why was she here? And why did her eyes look like his own daughter's eyes? Eyes he had lost years ago. The silence of the battlefield felt heavier now. He was no longer alone, but he was not safe. Every broken wall, every burned ship, every shadow could hide danger. Still, he could not let her go. He looked down at the child again. She wiped her tears and tried to smile. That smile, fragile, broken, but full of hope, cut deeper than any wound. Ryan knew one thing. This child was not supposed to exist. But now, she was his responsibility. He tightened his grip on his weapon and whispered, "Stay behind me. No matter what happens, don't let go." The girl nodded. She held his shirt even tighter. The wind blew through the ruins again. Ash rose into the air like ghosts of the dead soldiers. Ryan took a deep breath, stepped forward, and led the girl through the wreckage. Behind them, the broken ship groaned, as if warning them. Ahead, the darkness stretched wide and endless. But in that darkness, something new had begun. A soldier and a strange child. A man who had lost everything and a girl who called him Dad. Neither of them knew it yet. But this was only the beginning, and somewhere in the shadows, unseen eyes were already watching them. The night was darker now. The battlefield stretched endlessly, broken and dead. Captain Ryan moved carefully between the ruins, his rifle in one hand and the strange child holding his other sleeve. The girl's grip was strong for someone so small. She did not let go, as if the world would disappear if she released him. Rian's mind refused to stay calm. Who was she? Why did she look alien yet carry human eyes? And why did she call him Dad? He tried not to think about it, but every time he looked at her, his chest ached. Those eyes. They were too human. Stay close, he whispered. The girl nodded. Her hair was messy, dust falling as she walked. She stumbled on the uneven ground but still held his shirt tightly. They passed the wreckage of a transport ship. The broken walls were covered in strange marks, alien symbols glowing faintly like old scars. Ryan stopped to look. He had seen alien writing before, but this was different. These symbols were mixed with human letters. The girl noticed his stare. Her lips trembled. "Don't stop here," she whispered. Ryan turned to her sharply. "You can read this?" he asked. The girl lowered her head, silent. Ryan stepped closer. "How do you know?" Her answer was quiet but clear. "Because I've been here before." Ryan felt his stomach twist. She was no random survivor. She knew this place. She had lived inside these ruins. "Who are you?" he demanded. His voice was low but firm. The girl raised her head slowly. In the faint light, her eyes glimmered. "I don't know my name. They called me Subject 9. Subject 9. The words hit Ryan like a bullet. He had heard rumors about alien labs, rumors that humans were being used. But the military always denied it. Subject 9, he repeated, his voice dark. "What were they doing to you?" The girl hesitated. She touched her chest as if remembering pain. "They said, they made me. They said I was not supposed to live, but—" "I survived." Ryan's throat went dry. His hand tightened on his rifle. This was worse than he thought. The child wasn't just a survivor, she was proof. Proof that the aliens had been using human DNA. He crouched down to meet her eyes. "Listen to me. Why did you call me Dad?" The girl blinked. Her voice shook as she answered. "Because your face is the same. The same as the man in the memory they gave me. The same as the man they said was my father." Ryan's heart stopped. His face? His DNA? His blood? He staggered back, unable to breathe for a moment. If what she said was true, then somewhere, somehow, the aliens had stolen his DNA. The girl reached for him again, afraid he would leave. Her small hand trembled as she clutched his sleeve tighter. "Please don't leave me," she whispered. "They will come back." "They always come back." Ryan clenched his jaw. Every soldier's instinct told him this was dangerous. She was alien-made. She could be a trap. But deep inside, another voice spoke louder, the voice of a father. He placed his hand on her shoulder again. "I won't leave you," he said firmly. The girl closed her eyes and leaned against him. For the first time since the battle ended, Ryan felt something strange. Not fear, not anger, but purpose. Still, the danger was not gone. From the distance, the sharp sound of metal echoed. Footsteps. Many footsteps. Ryan froze. He pulled the girl behind a broken wall. His eyes scanned the shadows. Shapes moved in the darkness, tall, thin figures carrying glowing weapons. The enemy. The aliens were searching. The girl pressed against his side, whispering, "They want me back. They will not stop." Ryan's grip tightened on his rifle. He whispered back, "Then we run." But before they could move, a new voice cut through the night. "Captain Ryan." "Is that you?" He recognized it instantly. It was Sergeant Hale, one of his surviving men. Relief washed through him, but then fear followed quickly. If his squad saw the girl, what would they do? The girl's grip grew tighter. Her eyes filled with panic. "Don't let them take me," she begged. Ryan stood frozen. His squad was approaching from the left. The enemy was closing in from the right. He was caught in the middle, with a child who should not exist. His mind raced. He had two choices. Hand her over, keep his duty and survive. Or protect her, risk everything, and turn against his own. Ryan looked down at her again. The girl's human eyes shone with fear and hope both at once. He whispered under his breath, "No one is taking you." "Not them, not anyone." The sound of footsteps grew louder. The squad was almost here. The aliens were closer too. Ryan raised his rifle, heart pounding. The battlefield was about to burn again, and this time, it wasn't just about survival. It was about family. The ruins shook with distant blasts. Captain Ryan moved quickly, pulling the girl, Subject 9, through the broken battlefield. Behind them, the voices of soldiers grew louder. Ahead, the alien searchlights cut through the smoke. He was trapped between two enemies, his own squad and the aliens. "Where do we go?" he whispered harshly. The girl tugged his sleeve again, her voice small but certain. "I know a place." "Follow me," Ryan hesitated. Could he trust her? She was just a child, but she had survived here where no one else had. Slowly he nodded. "Lead the way." The girl darted forward, pulling him toward the ruins of a tall alien structure. Its walls glowed faintly with strange patterns like veins under skin. The building looked half dead but not empty. They slipped inside through a crack in the wall. The air was colder here. The silence felt wrong, too deep, too heavy. The girl guided him down a broken staircase. Dust fell with every step, and the sound of boots echoed faintly behind them. The squad was still searching. Finally, they reached a heavy door at the bottom. Its surface shimmered faintly, marked with alien symbols mixed with human letters. Ryan froze. "This is it," the girl whispered. "How do you open it?" Ryan asked. She stepped closer and pressed her small hand against the center. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the symbols glowed bright and the door slid open with a hiss. Cold air rushed out. Ryan raised his rifle and stepped inside. What he saw froze him in place. The chamber stretched wide, filled with strange glass tubes. Some were broken, others still glowing faintly. Inside the tubes were bodies, not alien, not fully human. Something in between. Ryan's stomach twisted. He walked slowly between the tubes, his breath caught in his throat. Faces floated in the green liquid. Some looked alien. Some looked human. Some looked like both. The girl stayed behind him, silent. Her small hands shook as she hugged herself. Ryan touched the glass of one tube. A body floated inside, a boy maybe 10 years old with pale skin and sharp alien features. His eyes were closed. His chest did not move. "Experiments," Ryan muttered. His voice was heavy. "They were making hybrids," the girl spoke quietly. "Yes, they tried again and again. Most died." Ryan turned to her, his jaw tight. "And you?" Her lips trembled. "I lived." Ryan closed his eyes for a moment. The military had denied this for years. They said aliens wanted to destroy humans, not study them. But this was proof. Not just war, experiments. He stepped deeper into the chamber. On a broken table he found strange files, metallic tablets glowing with symbols. Some words were in human language. He squinted to read them. DNA source. Captain Ryan Voss Project. Goal, survival hybrid. Subject 9. Stable. The words hit him like a blade. His name, his DNA, his child. He staggered back, his heart pounding. They hadn't just stolen human DNA. They had stolen his. The girl watched him with wide eyes. "It's true, isn't it?" She whispered, Ryan's voice cracked. "They used me. They made you from me." The girl stepped closer. "Then you really are my father?" Ryan's throat burned. He had lost his real daughter years ago in an alien raid. Now this child stood before him, born of his stolen blood, yet still alive. "Yes," he said finally, his voice low but firm. "I am." The girl's eyes filled with tears, but before she could speak, a loud crash shook the chamber. Ryan spun around, rifle raised. From the entrance, shadows spilled into the room. His squad had found them. "Captain," Sergeant Hale's voice boomed. "What the hell is this place?" The soldiers poured in, their rifles aimed. They froze when they saw the tubes, the bodies, the girl. Confusion and horror spread across their faces. One soldier cursed loudly. "Monsters, experiments. Captain, we can't take this thing with us." The girl flinched, pressing against Ryan's side. "She's not a monster," Ryan barked. His voice echoed through the chamber. "She's human. She's one of us." But Hale stepped forward, his rifle pointed at the child. "No, sir. She's proof. Proof that the enemy is mixing with us. We can't risk it. Hand her over." Ryan's hands tightened on his rifle. His squad, his brothers in arms, were now his enemy. The girl's hand tugged his sleeve again. Her voice shook, but she whispered firmly, "Don't let them take me, Dad." Ryan's chest burned. He had already lost one daughter. He would not lose another. Slowly, he raised his rifle, not at the aliens, but at his own men. The chamber fell silent. Soldiers stared at him in shock. "Step aside," Ryan said coldly. "No one touches her." Hale's face twisted. "You're choosing her over us?" "Over humanity." Ryan's voice was iron. "She is humanity. The best part of it. And I'll protect her with my life." For a heartbeat, no one moved. Then in the shadows above, alien voices echoed. The enemy was closing in too. The chamber became a trap, squad on one side, aliens on the other, and the truth of the war glowing in glass around them. Ryan knew one thing. There was no turning back now. He had chosen his side, and it was hers. The chamber erupted in chaos. Ryan stood firm, rifle raised, the child clinging to his side. His squad's weapons pointed back at him, while alien shadows crept closer through the broken entrance. The air felt heavy, as if the whole room was holding its breath. Sergeant Hale's voice cracked like thunder. "You've lost your mind, Captain. That thing is not your daughter, it's a weapon." The girl flinched at his words, pressing her face against Ryan's arm. "She's not a weapon," Ryan snapped. "She's a child." But before Hale could answer, the chamber shook. A blast of green energy tore through the wall. Shards of stone flew everywhere. The aliens were here. "Contact!" a soldier shouted. In an instant, the room exploded into gunfire. Blue bolts from alien rifles cut through the air, smashing into the glowing tubes. Green liquid poured out as hybrid bodies floated lifelessly to the ground. Soldiers screamed orders, returning fire. Ryan pulled the girl down behind a fallen table. His heart pounded. He had been in many battles, but this one was different. This time it wasn't just his life, her life was tied to his. "Stay down," he ordered. But the girl shook her head. "No, they want me. They'll never stop unless—" Before she could finish, an alien warrior burst through the smoke, its blade glowing with heat. It lunged at them. Ryan fired, the shot striking true, but the alien didn't fall. It kept coming. Then something impossible happened. The girl raised her small hand, eyes glowing faintly blue. The air cracked with invisible force. The alien froze mid-strike, its body twisting unnaturally as if crushed by unseen hands. With a scream, it flew backward and slammed into the wall, lifeless. Ryan stared in shock. His rifle trembled in his hands. What did you just do?" The girl looked at her hands, shaking. "I don't know. It just happens when I'm scared." Ryan's mind raced. She wasn't only human. She had powers the aliens never wanted anyone to see. That was why they needed her back. The soldiers had seen it too. Hale shouted from across the chamber, his face pale with fear. "You see? She's dangerous. She's not human." But Ryan's answer was sharp and cold. "She's more human than any of us right now. She's fighting to live." The aliens pushed harder into the chamber. Soldiers fell one by one. Ryan knew they couldn't hold this place. He grabbed the girl's hand. "We're leaving." Through smoke and fire they ran. He pushed through the confusion, dodging blasts, firing only when needed. The girl followed, her small steps quick, her eyes glowing faintly as she pushed aside falling debris with invisible waves of force. Every second felt like death chasing them. They reached a side tunnel, half collapsed but open enough to crawl through. Ryan shoved the girl in first, then followed, crawling on hands and knees. Behind them, Hale's voice roared, "Ryan, you can't run forever. She'll destroy you." Ryan ignored him. The tunnel opened into the night air. Cold wind hit his face, carrying the smell of ash and blood. The girl pulled on his sleeve. "This way." They stumbled across the ruins, hiding behind broken walls and burned machines. Searchlights swept the battlefield. Alien drones hummed overhead, hunting. Ryan forced his legs to move faster. He had been running from death his whole life, but tonight he felt the weight of something new. Responsibility. The girl tugged his arm again. Her voice was breathless. "There's a safe place. Not far." "Where?" he asked. She pointed to the distant hills, black shapes against the smoking sky. "There's a cave. I used to hide there when they tested us." Ryan nodded. He didn't trust caves, but he trusted her more than anyone else right now. They sprinted through the ruins, every step echoing with danger. Drones circled, beams of light cutting across the ground. Once a beam touched them, and a blast of fire struck the earth inches away. The girl cried out, but before panic could take her, she raised her hand again. The drone's light flickered, then exploded mid-air. She fell to her knees, exhausted. Ryan pulled her up. "You're strong, but don't burn yourself out. Just hold on." Her eyes were half closed, glowing faintly. "They'll never stop chasing me." "Then we'll make them regret chasing us," Ryan growled. Finally, they reached the hills. Rocks rose like teeth, jagged and sharp. The cave was hidden behind rubble, dark and silent. Ryan guided her inside. The cave walls were damp, the air cool. For the first time in hours, there was silence, no footsteps, no drones, no voices. Only their heavy breathing. The girl collapsed against the wall, trembling. Why do you protect me? You could have left me back there. Rian crouched in front of her, his face tired but steady. Because you're mine, not theirs, and as long as I breathe, no one touches you. Tears welled in her strange human eyes. She whispered, Then I'm not alone anymore. Ryan sat beside her, rifle across his knees. He listened to the distant sounds of war outside. The world was burning, and enemies surrounded them. But here, in this cave, a soldier and a strange child shared something stronger than war: family. For a brief moment, Ryan closed his eyes. The weight of the chase pressed on him, but so did a new fire. The will to fight not just for survival, but for her. Outside, the alien hunt continued. Inside, something greater had begun. And soon, the world would learn why humans were never meant to be broken. The cave was quiet, but it was not safe. Ryan leaned against the damp wall, rifle across his knees, eyes fixed on the dark entrance. The girl, Subject 9, sat beside him, hugging her knees, her face pale. The faint glow in her eyes flickered like a dying flame. Outside, the war was still alive. The echoes of blasts rolled across the night like distant thunder. Ryan knew the peace would not last. The aliens were hunting them. And worse, his own squad might still be close. For a long time, neither of them spoke. The silence was heavy. Finally, Ryan broke it. Tell me everything, he said quietly. The girl looked at him, her lips trembling. Everything? Yes. No lies. No half-truths. Who are you? Why do you know my face? Why do you call me Dad? Her hands shook. She lowered her head. I don't know where to begin. Start anywhere, Ryan pressed. We don't have time for secrets. The girl closed her eyes. They told me. I was made, not born. The aliens mixed their blood with yours. They said human strength and alien power would create the perfect survivor. That was their plan. Ryan's chest tightened. He already knew some of it from the chamber, but hearing her speak, it broke something inside him. They kept me with others, she continued, her voice breaking. But one by one, the others died. I was the only one who lived. They called me Subject 9. They tested me every day. My blood, my bones, my mind. They said I was proof their science worked. Her eyes opened, wet with tears. But when I closed my eyes, I saw something else. I saw a man's face. Your face. They said it was a memory, not mine, but it felt real. They said he was my source. My father. That's why I called you Dad. Ryan felt the weight of her words like chains around his heart. His DNA, stolen. His blood twisted. A child created in war, carrying pieces of him she never asked for. And yet, when he looked at her, he didn't see a weapon. He saw his daughter. He reached out, placing a hand gently on her shoulder. You survived because you're human. Stronger than they ever understood. Don't ever forget that. The girl leaned into his touch, silent tears falling. For the first time in her short life, she didn't feel like an experiment. She felt like a child. But the moment broke too quickly. A faint crunch of boots echoed outside the cave. Ryan's instincts flared. He raised his rifle, motioning the girl to stay quiet. Shadows moved near the entrance. A voice called out, low but sharp. Captain Rian, you in there? It was Sergeant Hale. Ryan's stomach dropped. The girl's hand gripped his sleeve tight. Her whisper trembled. Don't let them take me. Ryan whispered back. I won't. Footsteps entered the cave. Flashlights cut through the darkness. Ryan aimed his rifle, finger on the trigger. Hale stepped into the glow, flanked by two soldiers. His face was twisted with anger and fear. His eyes landed on the girl instantly. There she is, he spat. The hybrid, the enemy's pet. She's not the enemy, Ryan snapped. She's a child. Hale's rifle rose. She's a weapon. You saw what she did in that chamber. She's not natural. She'll destroy us all. The girl shrank back, her eyes wide with fear. Ryan moved in front of her, blocking Hale's aim. Lower your weapon, Sergeant, Ryan growled. I can't, Hale barked. The orders are clear. Anything alien dies. That thing isn't one of us. Ryan's voice cut through the cave like steel. She is one of us. She's mine. For a moment, silence filled the air. The soldiers shifted uneasily, torn between loyalty to their captain and fear of the unknown. Hale's eyes narrowed. You've gone soft, Captain. You've forgotten what it means to fight for humanity. Ryan stepped closer, his rifle still aimed. No, Sergeant. I remember exactly what it means. Humanity isn't about orders. It's about protecting those who can't protect themselves. It's about family. That's what makes us human. Not fear. The girl's small hand tugged his sleeve, her voice breaking. Dad. That one word froze everyone. Even the soldiers behind Hale faltered, but Hale's face twisted in rage. Then you've chosen, Ryan. You've chosen her over us. Ryan's eyes didn't waver. Yes, I have. The standoff hung heavy, seconds stretching into eternity. Then outside the ground shook with a roar. Alien drones screamed through the night sky. The enemy had found them. Hale's head snapped toward the sound. The soldiers tensed. Ryan seized the moment. He fired, not at Hale, but at the ceiling above. Rock and dust rained down, collapsing part of the cave entrance. The soldiers stumbled back, coughing. Move! Ryan grabbed the girl and pulled her deeper into the cave. Hale's voice roared through the dust. You're a traitor, Ryan. When this war ends, humanity will remember what you did. But Ryan didn't stop. He and the girl vanished into the shadows of the cave, leaving Hale's words behind. The deeper they ran, the darker it became. The girl clung to him, breathing hard. Finally, they reached a hidden passage that opened into a wider tunnel. Ryan stopped to catch his breath. His body ached, his mind burned, but his resolve was unbroken. He looked at the girl. Subject 9, his daughter by blood and fate. She looked back at him with wide, tearful eyes. You said I'm not a monster, she whispered. Ryan knelt, holding her face gently. You're not. You're the future. And I'll fight every soldier, every alien, every damn thing in this galaxy to keep you safe. The girl's tears turned into a fragile smile. For the first time, she believed him. Outside, war still raged. Inside, a soldier and a child carried a truth too powerful to stay hidden. The truth that humanity was not just surviving. It was evolving. The tunnels stretched endlessly beneath the hills, dark and damp, carrying echoes of the war above. Captain Ryan moved quickly, flashlight in one hand, rifle in the other. The girl clung to his side, her small steps echoing softly. They had escaped Hale for now, but Ryan knew it would not last. His own squad was hunting him. The aliens were hunting him, and deep down he knew neither side would ever stop. Not while the girl lived. At last they reached a cavern where the ceiling opened into the night sky. Faint moonlight spilled down, painting the rocks silver. Ryan stopped, breathing hard, scanning the area. We rest here for a moment, he said. The girl nodded, sinking to the ground. She looked so small, so fragile, yet Ryan had already seen the storm inside her. She had powers no child should carry. Dad, she whispered, her voice trembling. Do you think I shouldn't exist? The words pierced him deeper than any blade. He crouched, gripping her shoulders. Listen to me. You're not a mistake. You're proof that we can survive anything. You're my daughter, and I'll protect you until my last breath. Tears welled in her eyes. She leaned into his chest, and for a brief moment the war felt far away. But the peace shattered too quickly. A shout cut through the night. Captain, you can't run forever. Ryan spun, rifle raised. Sergeant. Hale stood at the edge of the cavern, flanked by half the surviving squad. Their rifles gleamed in the moonlight, all aimed at him. The girl's hand gripped his sleeve, shaking. They found us. Ryan pulled her behind him, his heart pounding. Stay close. Hale stepped forward, his face twisted with rage. You've abandoned your duty, Ryan. You've chosen a thing over your brothers. Hand it over and maybe, just maybe, we let you live." Ryan's voice was cold. "She's not a thing. She's my daughter." "She's a hybrid," Hale spat. "An alien experiment wearing human skin. Don't you see? If we let her live, we hand the future to them." Ryan raised his rifle. "No, if she lives, we take the future back. She's what they fear most, a human who cannot be broken." The soldiers shifted, uncertain. Some looked at Hale, others at Ryan, divided. Then the ground shook. From the cavern walls, alien hunters swarmed, their glowing eyes piercing the dark. Their weapons lit the night as they poured fire down. The cavern exploded into chaos. Hale shouted, "Form up! Kill the aliens! Kill the hybrid!" But Ryan was already moving. He pulled the girl into cover behind a jagged rock. Energy blast tore the air, scorching stone. She trembled. "They want me. They'll never stop," Ryan's jaw tightened. "Then we make our stand here." He peeked out and fired, dropping an alien. His squad fired too, caught between two enemies, the aliens and their own captain. "Dad!" the girl cried suddenly. An alien hunter leaped from above, blade raised. Ryan turned too slow, but the girl's eyes flared bright blue. Her small hands lifted, and the alien froze mid-air, its body twisting unnaturally before crashing to the ground in a broken heap. The squad saw. Some shouted in awe, others in terror. "She's a weapon," Hale roared. "End her now." Ryan's voice thundered back. "She's not a weapon, she's human. And she's mine." The cavern became a nightmare of fire and screams. Aliens surged forward. Soldiers fell. Hale charged through the chaos, his rifle locked on the girl. Ryan tackled him. Both men hit the ground hard. Hale's fist swung, fueled by rage. "You're betraying humanity," Ryan snarled, blocking the blow. "No, Hale, you've forgotten what humanity is." He slammed his fist into Hale's jaw, sending him sprawling. But Hale wasn't done. He grabbed his sidearm, aiming at the girl. Ryan's chest burned with fury. In a single motion, he raised his rifle and fired. The shot echoed like thunder. Hale dropped his weapon, eyes wide with shock, before collapsing. The squad froze. Some lowered their rifles, shaken. Others fired wildly at the aliens. Ryan stood tall, chest heaving, his voice carrying through the chaos. "If you want to survive, fight with me. Protect her or die alone." For a moment, no one moved. Then slowly, one soldier turned his rifle toward the aliens. Another followed. Soon, half the squad fought at Ryan's side, but the other half fled, their fear stronger than loyalty. The aliens pressed harder, surrounding the cavern. The girl's eyes glowed brighter, her hands trembling as invisible force shattered rocks and hurled enemies back. Every time she used her power, she cried out in pain, but she never stopped. Ryan covered her, firing until his rifle clicked empty. He switched to his sidearm, his vision blurred with smoke. "Stay with me," he shouted. Her voice broke as she pushed back another alien. "I'm trying." At last, the last of the aliens fell. Their bodies scattered across the cavern floor. Silence returned, broken only by the crackle of fire and the girl's heavy breathing. Ryan dropped to his knees beside her. She was pale, exhausted, her small hands trembling. "You did it," he whispered, pulling her close. "You saved us." Her voice was faint, almost gone. "Did I make you proud?" Ryan's throat tightened. "More than you'll ever know." The surviving soldiers watched in silence. Some still feared her. Some saw hope. But all knew the truth. The war had changed tonight. Ryan had made his choice, and the galaxy would never be the same. The cavern floor was covered in smoke, fire, and bodies. The air stank of burned metal and alien blood. Captain Ryan stood among the ruins, his chest heaving, his rifle empty. Around him, the last surviving soldiers watched in silence, unsure of what came next. Beside him, the girl, Subject 9, sat trembling, her glowing eyes dimming. She had used too much of her strange power, but she was still alive. She leaned against Ryan's shoulder, her breath shallow. Outside, the night was not quiet. Alien warships roared above, their searchlights cutting through the clouds. More were coming. This battle wasn't over. Ryan tightened his grip on his weapon, though it had nothing left to give. He looked down at the girl. She raised her tired eyes to meet his. "Dad," she whispered weakly. "They won't stop. They'll keep coming. Until I'm gone." Ryan shook his head. "No. They'll stop when they learn why humans fight. They'll stop when they learn what they can't take from us." The soldiers shifted uneasily, their faces pale. One finally spoke, his voice cracking. Captain, what now? We can't win against all of them. Ryan stood tall, pulling the girl gently to her feet. His voice was calm, but it carried the weight of command. We don't win by outgunning them. We win by outlasting them, by being something they'll never understand. What's that? Another soldier asked. Ryan looked at the girl. She clung to his sleeve, fragile yet unbroken. His answer was simple. Family. Before anyone could reply, the cavern ceiling cracked open. Alien troops descended in waves, their glowing eyes like cold fire. Weapons lit the air, turning the night into chaos once more. Ryan pulled the girl behind him, shielding her with his own body. Stay close, he said, but the girl shook her head. Her eyes began to glow brighter than before, like twin stars. No, this time I fight with you, she stepped forward. Her small hands rose, trembling, but filled with impossible strength. The air shuddered. Rocks lifted from the ground. Energy surged around her, crackling like lightning. The alien stopped, confused. Then the girl screamed, not in fear, but in defiance. The cavern shook. An invisible force exploded outward, tearing weapons from alien hands, shattering armor, hurling entire squads into the walls. Fire and light danced around her, and for a moment she was unstoppable. The soldiers stared in awe. Even Ryan, hardened by war, felt his breath catch. But he also saw the pain in her face. Every burst of power tore at her body. She couldn't hold it forever. Enough, he shouted. He ran to her, gripping her shoulders. You don't have to do this alone. The girl's eyes flickered. Tears rolled down her cheeks. But if I don't, you'll die. Ryan shook his head fiercely. No, we live together. That's what it means to be human. We fight, we fall, but we rise together. Her power flickered, but his words lit something inside her. The storm steadied. The glow in her eyes softened, no longer wild, but controlled. She took his hand. For the first time, her voice was calm. Then let's rise together. They turned as one. Ryan fired the last shots in his sidearm while the girl unleashed her controlled force, shoving back wave after wave. The soldiers, inspired, rallied behind them. In that moment, the cavern became more than a battlefield. It became proof. Proof that humans didn't survive because of weapons or strength. They survived because of heart. Because when everything was lost, they still chose to fight for each other. The aliens faltered. Their lines broke. Some fled, their cold logic failing against something they couldn't measure. Love, loyalty, family. At last, silence returned. The smoke cleared. The remaining aliens lay scattered, their weapons dark. Ryan dropped to his knees, pulling the girl into his arms. She was shaking, exhausted but alive. Her eyes dimmed back to normal, glowing faintly like embers instead of fire. Dad, she whispered softly. Did we win? Ryan looked around at the broken cavern, the wounded soldiers, the fleeing enemies. He thought of the war outside, still raging. He thought of the truth, that this battle was only one step in a much greater fight. But when he looked into her eyes, he knew the answer. Yes, he said firmly. We won. She gave a weak smile and buried her face in his chest. I'm glad, because I didn't want to be alone anymore. Ryan held her close, his voice rough but steady. You'll never be alone again. Not while I'm here. The surviving soldiers watched in silence. Some still feared her. Others saw hope in her strength. But all of them understood one truth. The war had changed. Humans were not just survivors. They were something the galaxy had never seen before. Something that could not be broken no matter how hard the universe tried. Because in the end, the greatest weapon of humanity was not their guns. It was their heart.